Hello and welcome to this edition of Access Asia. Coming up, Aung San Suu Kyi's ruling party claims victory in Myanmar. But critics say the election was hampered by coronavirus restrictions and that ethnic minorities were sidelined. Kamala Harris's ancestral village in India celebrates. Proud the U.S. Vice President-elect shattered the glass ceiling for women and people of color in America. And Japan wages war on bureaucratic red tape, shredding papers, stamping out personal seals, and booting the fax machine. But will the reforms catch on? Well, Aung San Suu Kyi's ruling party has claimed victory in Myanmar. This as the country held its second democratic election since the end of military rule. Rights groups have, however, severely criticized the vote as millions were disenfranchised and unable to cast a ballot. Peter O'Brien reports.
They were urged to celebrate at home, but these Aung San Suu Kyi supporters just couldn't help themselves. For them, the election has been a huge win for democracy in a country still in the shadow of a military dictatorship that lasted for half a century.
Our generation will be very pleased if the NLD can bring our country a democratic constitution.
I believe the economy will be better within another 5 years.
Myanmar's second general election since the end of military rule saw around 90 parties compete, with many independent and ethnic minority candidates. In the end, though, the balance of power remains unchanged. Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy looks to have won a comfortable victory, and the military continues to control 3 ministries and a quarter of parliament. This opposition candidate wasn't expecting any miracles.
As a small party, we don't expect to have good results from today's counting because we were banned from campaigning due to COVID-19 restrictions. I had only 3 days to meet with supporters.
It wasn't just campaigning that was difficult. Voting itself was impossible for more than 1.5 million people who live in conflict areas after the Electoral Commission cancelled their vote, citing security concerns. The majority of those affected were in Rakhine State. YY Tan was able to vote because she lives in the state capital, but her family in her hometown missed out.
This will not help the stability of Rakhine State, because ethnic Rakhines, including myself, are asking ourselves, maybe we're not Myanmar citizens, but Rakhine.
Rights groups pointed out that Rohingya Muslims were also excluded from the vote, with Burma Campaign UK calling it an apartheid election. As popular as she is domestically, Aung San Suu Kyi's reputation has crumbled internationally, as she's failed to oppose the army's campaign to expel the Rohingya out of the country.
Well, U.S. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris shattered the glass ceiling in America. Not only will she be the first woman to become VP, she'll also be the first person of color. Harris was born to a Jamaican father and an Indian mother. Catherine Kadir Clifford takes a look at how that sparked celebrations back in India.
Explosive celebrations more than 12,000 kilometers from Washington. In this Indian village where Kamala Harris's grandfather was born, residents are bursting with pride at the U.S. election result.
Congratulations, Kamala Harris. Since November the 3rd, we were waiting for her to win, and we're very happy.
We do take immense pride in her victory and what she has and whom she has become today.
The villagers have been glued to election coverage, praying for Harris at the local Hindu temple throughout the race. Kamala Harris was born to an Indian mother and a Jamaican father, who both immigrated to the United States to study. She's now the first woman and the first woman of color to be elected Vice President of the US. Harris's uncle will travel to attend the inauguration with the rest of her Indian family. He's already planning what he'll say to his niece when he sees her.
Well, I'll tell her, look, any way I can help, I'll help you. All that I can do is that I can help her to understand India better now that she's the Vice President, okay?
Elsewhere in India, some hoped Harris's win would set an example for their own country.
We must emulate this in India as well. It shows there's no discrimination based on colour, caste or race to reach the highest offices.
I think what it'll do is it'll at least make countries more accountable in how they treat immigrants, in how they treat minorities.
Meanwhile, on India's eastern Puri beach, this artist paid tribute to Biden and Harris as the tide turns on Trump's tenure.
Japan may have a high-tech reputation, but much of its bureaucracy is steeped in analog technology. But that is set to change. The government wants to kickstart a digital revolution. That involves saying sayonara to fax machines and personal stamps called hanko. Changes that officials say would save time, money, and resources. Our team on the ground has a story.
Sensoji Temple is a famous Tokyo landmark, the setting for movies and TV programs. But before France 24 can film here, we have to get the temple's permission.
They don't accept applications and shoot details by email. They only accept them by fax or in person. There's lots of paperwork in Japan. There are several forms to fill in. It's very bureaucratic.
Hisanori, our fixer and translator, is a slave to the fax machine. When he's setting up shoots, he has to send faxes almost daily. The temple office manager receives around 15 faxes a day, but she isn't complaining.
I receive several phone calls, which keeps me busy, so I tend to forget to check my emails. But when a fax arrives, it attracts my attention and I check it straight away.
You often find in Japan that older people in particular are not comfortable using a computer or find it all a bit too new, so faxes are much easier for them.
Japan, home of the high-speed bullet train and a leader in technological innovation, is still fond of old-fashioned paper. But its new Prime Minister is determined to put an end to the widespread use of faxes and hanko. The seals are used in just about every aspect of daily life, from stamping official documents and opening a bank account, to signing for deliveries and authenticating restaurant receipts. Most people have a personal seal, and many own additional hanko bearing the name of their employer for business transactions. This woman is ordering a hanko for a company she's just set up.
I use a hanko whenever I go to the bank, to the town hall, to pay my bills, for everything related to money. I would say that I use one more than once a day. If I don't add my seal to a bill, it won't be accepted. This is the way Japanese companies work, and I don't think it's going to change.
This man has been carving handmade hanko for about 70 years, a practice imported from China 2,000 years ago. This seal is harder to forge than a handwritten or digital signature, and it guarantees the authenticity of a document. In 8th century Japan, the use of a forged stamp bearing the imperial seal was punishable by death. For this family-run firm, the campaign to banish hanko amounts to an attack on Japan's identity.
The hanko is a way to commit to the veracity of a decision, to affirm clearly one's responsibility. But now, politicians will be able to say, I didn't say that, I didn't commit to that. The hanko plays an important part in preventing that kind of problem. We are moving towards an oversimplification of behavior and an era of lies. The hanko is proof that someone is not lying.
But hanko are becoming less popular. At the height of the coronavirus pandemic, employees were forced to go to the office to stamp documents, despite being encouraged to work remotely. Shachi Hata, a well-known hanko maker, has adapted to changing times by producing an electronic seal. Between March and June this year, 270,000 companies bought the product.
Our service means we don't have to go to the office to authenticate documents. We can do it online. It's true that a part of Japanese culture will disappear. But unfortunately, we are shifting from paper to digital services. And the hanko won't disappear completely. Some people will keep using them. But this new system gives them other options.
The coronavirus pandemic may have hastened the demise of the hanko in some areas of Japanese life. But in a country where a quarter of the population is aged 65 or over, personal seals and fax machines aren't ready to disappear just yet.
And finally, a ping pong player has become an internet sensation in China thanks to his power, precision, and above all, his age. Zhuang Unbo is just 3.5 years old, and with the deceptively cute nickname Little Rice Cake, his skills have already attracted over 54,000 followers. He practices every day for at least 1 hour, and in large part that's thanks to his coach, his grandmother, who was a former professional table tennis player herself. So, is a career in the cards for the Little Rice Cake? Well, his family says whatever he wishes, down the road, they will respect his choice. That's it for this edition. Thanks for watching, and please stay tuned to France 24.